We're on the coast of the North Sea at Zandvoort Circuit, 25 miles outside of Amsterdam. We're all set for the Dutch Grand Prix, a race that the greats have won at, including Jim Clark, who took the biggest trophy home here on 4 occasions. A lap of this short 2.6 mile Zandvoort Circuit then features 14 corners, 10 to the right and 4 to the left, with a 678-metre main straight into turn 1, aka Tarzan Corner, which with DRS open will be the best overtaking opportunity on the track. It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. George Russell will begin today's event in pole position, and it's Aiden Jackson alongside. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Leclerc, Antonelli, Pierre Gasly, Bortoletto, Behrman, Mayer, Hadjar, and Lando Norris. Sainz, Alonso, Alex Albon, and Stroll. Ocon, Colapinto, Liam Lawson, and Nico Hulkenberg. Doohan, Maloney, Pepe Marti, and Paul Aaron completes the grid. Which of these talented drivers will come out on top today? Welcome to the commentary box. I'm Alex Jakes. Alongside us for this one is Naomi Schiff. Now, those final hours before a race, did you have a routine?
Well, every driver certainly has their own way of preparing themselves before a race. But I can tell you that pre-race rituals are a real thing. When I was in go-karting, I used to touch every wheel in a specific sequence before I got into the kart. And then I stepped up to cars and had a specific set of fireproof base layers just for race day. So watch the drivers when they're on the grid. Some may be sitting on the floor and isolating, others may be up to other things that they do. But these little things really help their minds get ready for the race.
Here we go then. The formation lap gets underway and the excitement here is building as we near ever closer to the start of the race. Which team will come out on top? Who's got their strategies right for today's race? Well, we'll soon find out. As the cars make their way back to the starting grid to form up and get ready for lights out, let's hope the race ahead today is a thrilling one that will go down as a memorable Grand Prix in the history books.
All right, here we have Jackson and Russell pulling up to their grid slots, front row here in Zandvoort. A long way to go before turn 1, ahead of Leclerc. And I believe Leclerc is sitting P3 in the championship right now. So our top 3 in the starting order is the current championship order. I'm not quite sure, actually. I think Lando Norris or Charles Leclerc. I'm not sure which one of them is sitting in P3. 5 red lights are on here in Zandvoort, and we are off. We are driving as Jackson this time around, if you guys haven't already noticed. Russell covering off the inside of Leclerc, or of Jackson. Jackson going wide over the curb and into the gravel. So we see Leclerc trying to make a move on the inside of turn 2. Not quite there. Jackson was able to hold on to that spot, starting onto those medium tires. So we go through that downhill section of 4, 5, and then back uphill through turn 6. I don't know what it is about this track. It's just sector 2, right around here, turn 9 and turn 10 are the biggest issues for me. In sector 2, coming up to the second DRS spot, I just can't get that wide right-hander as we're going through the order. Gasly ahead of Behrman, so he's trying to stay in the toe of Antonelli. No DRS this time around, so getting a gap big enough ahead of the person behind you is very important, especially coming out of turn 14. This big embankment here, you can lose the car very easily. I had a lot of trouble in practice trying to get that angle down. I honestly felt like I went a little bit too aggressive on my front wing for this race, as we see Colapinto trying to make a move on Ocon. Side by side, a little bit of a I don't remember what to call that. That's the game prevents the AI cars from crashing into each other on lap 1, but we have had plenty of lap 1 incidences on this game, whether I believe it's more this season than last season, actually, now that I think about it. So we see Jackson just under a second behind Russell already. Russell, you can see him ahead trying to pull away. Coming out of turn 10, he's going to be outside of DRS range. Leclerc is going to be looking to try to make a move on Jackson, probably out of turn 14 into the main straight. So we see Antonelli close behind. Callie Mayer and the other Mercedes sitting back in P8. Mercedes is again sitting at 207 points behind Konnersport's 311. So any position ahead of the Konnersport drivers would be good for Mercedes. We're on board with Leclerc, looking to make a move on the inside of turn 1. See what we do here. Trying to hold off on the outside. Leclerc is able to push through. Antonelli is now in the gearbox of Jackson, coming through turn 2 and 3. If you guys did notice the lighting, I did go through my editing software and I basically auto-enhanced the lighting. So if it is a little bit better or a little bit worse, please let me know in the comments after this video goes up, whether you like it or not. If you guys have gotten this far in the race. On board with Gasly on lap 4. There's going to be a spin through the turn 3 hairpin. You guys remember Daniel Ricciardo actually spun out here and had his wrist injury, which ended his driving career pretty much. So seeing that incident was not a happy reminder for me, being a Daniel Ricciardo fan. Leclerc ahead of Jackson by 2 seconds. The top 3 spread out by 2 seconds each. So we see Antonelli looking to make a move on Jackson. And that's going to be the same situation from Leclerc. It's going to be a main straight attempt, depending on how well we can come through turns 13 and 14. Antonelli taking a lot of curb, and I honestly don't feel like taking a lot of curb out of turn 12 is really helpful to us. But Antonelli's not going to be close enough to make a move on those soft tires. You can see him trying to close in as much as possible as we see Leclerc ahead in the distance. We're going to be dropping down the order. We see Bortoleto and Behrman going at it. Bortoleto starting within the top 10. He hasn't had much of a season. He's sitting P13 with 12 points on the season in that Ferrari, with Leclerc sitting in P4 at 118 points now that I'm actually looking at it. Lando Norris is sitting in 3rd place at 120 points. Leclerc at 118, and then Callie Mayer at 116 as of the last race. Lap 5. Now on to lap... No, it's really... This is the same lap, it's just down the order a bit as we see smoke coming from Alonso's car here in Sector 2. He's going to be pulling off to the side, over the curb. That's going to be between turns 8 and turn 9 for Alonso's retirement. On board with Gasly as we see Alonso there on the left. It's going to be unfortunate for him. It's his 2nd retirement of the season. Leclerc 2.8 seconds behind Russell. Antonelli is outside of the DRS range for Jackson, so Jackson has some breathing room now. We're moving on to lap 9 now, where Behrman on soft tires is going to be coming in. So 9 laps on soft tires here in Zandvoort. Pretty strong performance as we wait to see who else is going to be coming in. As we see, I always forget that the Red Bull garage isn't the first garage anymore. That's going to be Lance Stroll coming in behind Behrman. That's going to be Liam Lawson, Hulkenberg. And I believe Gasly might be coming in as well after that spin earlier in the race. We see some tire issues maybe, I'm not quite sure. We're going through the drivers pretty quickly. Yep, Gasly's going to be coming in onto a new set of tires as we see Russell coming through turn 12. All the people who pit are in jeopardy of getting lapped already pretty much. But it is early for these pit stops as we see Antonelli, well, within 1 second. He might be able to get DRS. Yes, he's going to be within DRS range on Jackson. He might not be able to make a move. He has DRS open. Jackson is about 8 seconds back, and then Antonelli decides to come in off of his tires as we see Callie Mayer going down the main straight. And I believe she might be on one stop if she hasn't pit yet. I believe she started on medium tires. Carlos Sainz coming in with Albon. So they're in a battle right now. That's going to be an issue on the back left tire for Albon. It's going to be very unfortunate. Jack Doohan coming in ahead of Pepe Marty. See if he can gain a position there. Oh, Doohan coming out ahead. That's going to be Paul Aaron behind for their first set of stops. We see Hulkenberg and Gasly, who pit on the previous lap, going at it into turn 1. Russell slowly closing in on the drivers in the backfield. And curious to see who's going to get lapped first. Bortoleto currently sitting P5. That'll get him a full... Actually, no, there's Norris, who spun in turn 10. He was stopped on track, but he did spin. We're going to be on board with him coming through turn 9. He did drop down the order, so here's going to be... Yeah, it's going to be too much power on the back end. Back end spinning out, almost beaching himself in the gravel. As we see Hadjar, Colapinto, Ocon, and then Antonelli gaining positions. I believe Maloney there in the background. It's going to be yellow flag sector 2. Around the same area that Alonso retired, but we're going to go ahead and jump to our F1 commentators.
Well, there's no shortage of action here in Zandvoort. Spins for Gasly and Norris, as well as an early retirement for Alonso.
That's right. Another retirement on the season for Alonso, and he's been doing really good up until his first retirement in Austria. That retirement and his lower scoring positions had him fall out of that championship fight, as both Konnersport drivers are still going at it with Leclerc not too far behind.
Another detail to take note of is Ferrari. Bortoleto had a strong start within the top 10, and with how he's racing so far today, we'll probably see him scoring some more points, with him currently holding 6 points on the season compared to Leclerc's 103, keeping him in the fight for the Drivers' Championship.
And speaking of the championship, Mercedes is in a strong position to score points against Konnersport. It's simply a matter of finishing ahead to close the gap and maintain a chance of preventing the Constructors' title from being claimed.
And as we're watching some on-track battles, we do have Martin Brundle here with us. Not for the normal commentary, though, right? You've brought us some news for next season?
That's right. I've been voluntold to announce to the F1 world that one of the final 2 teams joining the grid will be none other than Lotus, or should I say rejoining, after bowing out in 2015. That's an 11-year pit stop, which means they'll have to work harder than a mechanic with 3 espressos during the off-season, won't they?
If Lotus is replacing the Alpine outfit, that would leave Williams in the spotlight for the last team announcement, wouldn't it? I believe there was talk with James Valls, and if I recall, it's a partnership sponsor and rebranding for the team.
We will definitely have to look into that and reach out to the Williams pit box later on during the race, as we saw the race leader George Russell come in for his pit stop, as well as Bortoleto having a fairly good race so far that may lead to his favour, like we were saying.
Bortoleto being a second-year driver and going to Ferrari was a bold move in the team's part, and he's starting to show that he can get behind the Ferrari and push it up the order in order to help his veteran teammate. But he does have strong competitors around him for the remainder of the race.
And speaking of Ferrari, we have Fred Vasseur on the line from the Ferrari pit box. A quick word, Fred, how's the team feeling about Bortoleto's season so far?
The team feels confident in Bortoleto. We are at a point where he is capable of starting and finishing in the points, and the momentum we build now will help him develop better in the off-season and hopefully start off well for next season.
I know there hasn't been much talks of contracts, but does Ferrari have their eyes on the same driver lineup for next season?
We are in talks with drivers at the moment since we are closing in on the end of season, but the plan is to keep our lineup, but things could always change.
We thank you for the quick input, Fred. All but one team to be announced is pretty much the last thing for next season, other than liveries, and hopefully we can get more insight on that with Williams later on in the race.
All right, we're back on board with Jackson on lap 13. We're getting on our way. Callie Mayer, certainly, not certain. Callie Mayer sitting in P1. Lap 16 now, and she's coming off of her set of medium tires. Russell close behind. It's going to be a 15-second or so gap between Russell and Leclerc after this pit stop. And that's just very interesting. An issue with the left front tire, getting it off. A lot of teams going to be having that issue, and I think her car was floating. I'm not quite sure. She's going to be coming in off of her one stop to the end of the race. Behrman trying to chase down... Oh, Behrman and Albon fighting, sorry. They're side by side coming through turn 1 behind Callie Mayer. There they are. As she's coming out of the pits, getting up to speed. Russell leading Leclerc by 6.7 seconds. Antonelli ahead of Jackson by 2.4. Carlos Sainz sitting in P5. Bortoleto still well within the points at P6. And then both Williams drivers are sitting within the top 10 for some decent points. Lap 20. Carlos Sainz coming in off of his soft tires. I believe he started on mediums. So he may be coming in onto hard tires. Coming out pretty fast actually for the first grid slot. And that is going to be hard tires on board for Carlos Sainz. We see some position changes down the order. We're on board with Norris trying to chase down Lance Stroll. Going to be making a move into turn 1 more than likely. So we see who else down the order might be able to come in for their pit stop. Norris and Stroll still going at it for their positions. Norris still back in P13. Russell 9.7, almost 10 seconds ahead of Leclerc at this point. Lap 21 and 36 as we're on board with Jackson yet again. Trying to close in on Antonelli. We're on board with Behrman for his second pit stop now. Lap 21, the end of lap 21, start of lap 22 for 36. Medium to hard tires. That's going to be another right rear tire issue for another driver. And I think both Red Bulls have had issues today in the pits. See who else is going to be coming in for their pit stop. That's going to be McLaren of Gasly from medium tires to hard tires. As he looks to try to get back into the points after the spin from earlier on in the race. Paul Aaron just ahead of Russell, looking like he's going to be the first one to be lapped today. We see Leclerc 10 seconds back now behind Russell. We have Antonelli ahead of Jackson by about half a second now. He's going to be coming in, giving Jackson DRS. Mayer about 11 seconds back behind Jackson. She's going to be passing her teammate in the pits yet again. It's going to be medium tires to hard tires now. Another left front issue. And I swear those cars look like they're floating at that angle. I have no idea. Bortoleto coming in ahead of Hadjar and Albon, both sitting in the points and looking very strong for points. That's going to be another right front issue. Pit crews are not having it today. I don't know what it is here in Zandvoort. So we're on lap 23 of 36. We see Albon, no issues. Stroll coming ahead of Ocon. Coming in ahead of Ocon. We see Behrman out on the main straight. A lot more cars coming through into their pit window. Their final pit window. Pepe Marty gaining positions on both Hasses. As he's staying out. Gasly staying out. Paul Aaron staying out. And I think that is Russell ahead of Aaron and Gasly. Yes, it is. So we're back on board with Jackson. Lap 23-36. I believe he's going to be coming in for his pit stop. Yes, he is. Very fast to slow this car down, especially with that little twist in the road. There goes Leclerc onto a new set of hard tires. Most of the grid is going to be on hard tires for the remainder of this race. It is pretty overcast. No issues for Jackson. That is what we want. Russell now 26.3 seconds ahead of Callie Mayer as Jackson is coming out. Hadjar coming in. See if he goes on to a set of mediums. No, he's going to be coming on to another set of hard tires. Colapinto coming in ahead of Norris, see if he can hold on to that position. So we see more drivers coming down the grid, or coming down the main straight. That's going to be Norris on a quick stop issue for Colapinto. So Colapinto losing that position to Norris in the pits. Maloney ahead of, no, Pepe Marty ahead of Maloney in the pits, sorry. Just the Haas and the Audi look so similar. See Ocon and Gasly fighting for position into turn 1. As we see them switching positions on lap 24. Doohan ahead of Maloney and Aaron. Lawson gaining positions as well. We see Doohan gaining position on Marty coming out of the pits. So we see Colapinto sitting P13. Doing best of the rest for the rookies right now. And that's going to be Behrman, DNF, Sector 2. That's going to be near where Alonso was. I don't know if it's going to be an engine issue or another smoking gun. Oliver Behrman was sitting P10. Coming down through turn 7. And yes, that's going to be a smoke on the car. That's going to be an engine failure. And that's going to be just before where Alonso retired his car. So 2 drivers out for engine failures in Sector 2 here in Zandvoort. We see the Red Bull teammate passing as we're back on board with Jackson as he's coming over to the spot where the car was sitting. There's not enough room there for a safe removal of the car. We're going to be going to a safety car and our F1 commentators.
Well, here we are back again. And surprisingly, we haven't had a safety car since Miami. We were talking earlier about how teams have progressed, and I wanted to take a look at our rookie performances before we have Ted Kravitz meet up with James Vowles.
We haven't checked in on the rookies really on the year, but given the performance of their respective teams this season, it has been a challenging year for scoring points. However, they have gained plenty of valuable experience to build on for next season. And with that knowledge, those drivers hope they can manage a seat into the new regulation changes, which should be finalized here within the next 2 races or so.
I believe I may have asked this around Monaco, perhaps before, but with how teams are doing currently, do you think any of the rookies will excel into the points next season?
You can't really look at it as the driver by themselves. You'd have to look at the team they're going to stick with come next season. And with what I've seen, I do feel like Colapinto in the Alpine outfit, if he chooses to stay, will be a driver for Lotus. Whereas Audi, having a second season on the grid is more than likely to have a breakthrough in development. So Marty would be a good young fit for that team.
And teams will be more than likely scrambling for drivers come the end of this racing weekend. Again, we have a bunch of popular name brands joining us next season, such as Toyota's partnership with Haas, Maserati, and Lotus. So there's more than likely going to be a lot of moving around during this off-season for teams.
It gets more and more exciting the closer we get to the end of the season because we get a reset pretty much, new teams, new faces, and another challenging season of racing to look forward to.
What I'm looking forward to is the news that James Vowles has for us about the future of Williams in the world of F1. How's it going, James?
You know, it's going well. Both of our drivers are sitting within the top 10 as we get ready for the restart, and we're hoping to stay within the points throughout the rest of the season.
There's been plenty of anticipation about the news for Williams since our last conversation. Are you able to finally share the news with us?
Yes, I can proudly say that Williams has signed a partnership with Porsche and will be taking over a portion of the team for next season and onwards, which the part I'm excited about is the colour scheme that we've already decided on for next season.
I know next season is still a ways away, but do you have any teaser for us to look forward to seeing the team in the off-season?
The best thing I can describe it as right now is a flash of white while on track.
Any other words of hope for the team, whether it be the fight in the constructors or how your drivers are feeling?
If anyone is as excited as I am, it's most likely Albon and Hajar. The team's ready for what changes and challenges come our way.
Well, that is surely exciting for the rest of the world, James. We thank you for bringing us that information as we now have the full teams list for the 2027 season in F1.
Now, the focus can turn towards driver contracts and off-season developments for the Sky Sports team.
That is right, James. And don't forget, we still have a Drivers' Championship that's up for grabs, as well as the Constructors' Championship within Konnersport's grasp as we get ready for the race restart.
And as we're coming up to the race restart, lap 29 of 36, I don't know how I feel about that rear view angle from the safety car. 29 to 36, like I said, Russell ahead of Mayer, who's pulled off a one stop thanks to the safety car. Leclerc sitting in P3, Jackson P4 as we come to a restart. Green flags as we see the back markers who are in the order moving out of the way, making a very dangerous sector 1. A lot of blue and yellow flags going around as we see, I believe that was Lawson who was behind Russell. So we see at the front runners now in their order. We see Antonelli behind, Leclerc ahead as we almost ran into the back of him. See the green flashing lights from all the backhand cars moving out of the way. So that just tells you how many cars were lapped thanks to the safety car. No DRS, you can see Lawson is over a second time, so you can see everybody from Lawson and down were lapped. You see Mayer and Leclerc starting to pull away from Jackson, currently sitting P4. You see Lawson losing position to Aaron and Maloney. Coming through sector 2. Didn't seem like there was a spin or anything like that. Maybe he lost traction. Russell already 2 seconds clear of Cali Mayer. Leclerc trying to defend against Jackson. Jackson looking to make a move on the inside. Very strong attempt, but not enough. Leclerc has the outside. He manages to hold on for now with their group of 4 cars behind Antonelli of Sainz, Bortoleto, Albon, and Hadjar. Norris holding on to P10 for that 1 point. So we look to see Leclerc and Mayer pulling away from Jackson. Jackson, by the end of this lap, is looking to make a move. Mayer and Leclerc side by side. Leclerc having the momentum to make a move on the outside before turn 1. He covers off Mayer. Jackson makes the move into turn 1, out of turn 1, and into turn 2 and 3. So Russell, Jackson, Leclerc is the order, and that is the order that we started this race in. We see on board with George Russell winning yet another race on the season, helping Konnersport get ever so closer to that championship win as he crosses the finish line. Teammate Aiden Jackson coming around turn 14 for P2 and a double podium for Konnersport, and that is the Ferrari of Leclerc.
A superb drive from the talented George Russell, who takes the checkered flag.
Such an important victory at this stage of the season. Any points you can achieve to go towards the table is really going to mean a lot to the team. So well done as they prepare for the end of the season.
So much to talk about. We will continue to do so. But first, it is time for the podium. And celebrating with the trophy, George Russell on the top step. After an event like that, who knows what the sport has in store for us next time? Be sure to join us again as we continue to bring you the latest excitement in Formula One.
All right, there we have it, a eventful result for the Dutch Grand Prix, and I believe the top 3 finished on the podium as they started, and the same as the champ. No, I am wrong. Charles Leclerc is still sitting in 4th. Landon Norris is sitting in 3rd at 120 points. He's still well within this championship. So we look at the constructor standings, 311 to 207 from Mercedes. Gulf Williams tailing behind at 160 with Red Bull Ford close behind. And I'm gonna have to look at the menus, but I don't know whether or not this will classify us as Constructors Championship, Constructors Champions, but I don't believe so. I don't know if there's an animation for Constructors Championship or if there's an animation for commentators to talk about it, but we are closing in on that. And yeah, Aiden Jackson is tailing George Russell by 21 points in the driver's standings, with Lando Norris at third, leading Charles Leclerc by 2. Callum Mayer also sitting there. Three-way battle between them for P3 in the driver's standings. And then if I look down the order, still Audi and Ford Racing Bulls still without any points on the season. We go back to today's finish. Colapinto moving up from P16. He was up there in P11 for a little bit as he dropped back again. And yeah, so Joseph Pepe Marty moving up from P21 to P15, so that's some good improvement. Fernando Alonso retiring and Oliver Behrman retiring. 4 people lapped. The safety car was a little bit confusing as we hit that safety car. Looked like both Audis were next to each other. But yeah, so that's pretty much it for this race here in the Netherlands, or yeah, Zandvoort, Netherlands, Dutch. But we're not quite done with the episode as we head to Konnersport's HQ for a very special meeting.
You wanted to see me, Devon?
There he is, right on time. Close the door, please.
Are you going to tell me what this is about, or are you going to keep me guessing? You made this seem like a big deal before the race.
Well, it is a big deal. I know we've come a long way in the last few years, but I'm worried about the team when it comes to Jackson.
Worried about the team how? Jackson has been there every step of the way, as your teammate, driver, even being the face of the team after I convinced your father to let your sister drive for the team.
Now, he's a great driver, don't get me wrong, but lately it's been difficult for him in the car. Because of George, who we signed for this season, is beating Jackson in the exact same car, and I don't want that kind of situation where a long-term driver that's been with the team can keep a competitive edge on a newer driver that we signed.
So you're telling me that we shouldn't sign Jackson as a driver next season?
Look, I may have had my bad run-ins with Jackson, but he is a great driver. And I may seem like my father saying this, but it's business. I have another driver that we're in talks with about getting them to sit down with us as a precaution. If Jackson doesn't beat Russell by the end of the season, then he's off the team.
You know, that is a big ask for any driver with that much pressure in general. Do you really think he will be willing to go to those lengths just to stay with the team after how much he's been through with us?
I know Jackson, and I know what he's capable of. If he manages to pull it off, good for him. If not, then the team is looking forward to next season without him.